I have been working with the subject of mending for quite some years now, and I've also been visiting museum collections for quite a while, mainly textile collections, as I am a tapestry weaver primarily. I also make prints. And I kind of feel with this new project, it's really exciting for me because I've been playing around with ideas that have come from museum collections before. And I'm at a point now where I realise that I can move forward into really making connections between my rather romantic response to some of the things that I found and the museum's more historical, pragmatic and factual interpretations of those objects. And in particular, objects that are mended. It's been quite difficult finding things that have been mended in their own lifetime in museum collections, because what's recorded in a museum is much more to do with conservation mends than mends contemporary with the object. But I have found them, and that's what fascinates me. So for this project, I would like to again find mended things, and again, as part of it, have conversations with the curators about their response to those mended things, whether they see it as an object that can't be displayed because it has been broken and mended, or whether the importance of that object overcomes that damage, where conservation mends are more important than an original mend, and maybe an original mend is remade, and the issues around that. Because for me, a mend that was made by an ordinary person in the ordinary life of that object is part of the backstory of that object, and not necessarily a romantic backstory, but it is an important part of it. So that's where I'm coming from with this project, and I think that it could perhaps, in terms of the interpretation and in terms of what goes around the final work that I might make, is a whole dialogue around conservation, mending, damage, all those kinds of issues that are part of museum collections. I would like to start off by looking at, obviously, textile collections, because textiles have been part of my life for more than 30 years in terms of my work, but also ceramic collections. I love ceramics, and in the most recent work I've made, I actually started playing with paper clay to achieve a hard surface and the different feel of a hard mend as opposed to a soft mend. And though I'm very clunky with it, because though I've got a neighbour who will fire it for me, I'm not a ceramicist, but I would love to do some more with that. And I would love to look at the way that ceramics are mended. I love particularly older mends with staples, which has an affinity with stitching, but in a completely different way. So it's those two collections within the Taunton collections that I would like to look at and see where it goes. In terms of final work, I have no idea, but certainly my textile work would come into it, and possibly my print work, and maybe a little bit of ceramic.